Thank you, Laura. Right. So what I want you to have a look at is basically the curves of the spine. You'll notice at the neck, there's a slight indentation here. As we come into the thoracic spine, the curve changes direction. And as we come down to the lower back, again, it changes direction. Okay? In the lower back and also in the neck, the indented curve is called the lordosis. And we all have varying levels of a lumbar lordosis. Some people's are more accentuated, other people's are more flattened. But it's very important to be able to maintain the natural curve in your lower back. Now, as human beings, we have a tendency to slouch, adopt poor postural habits where we lose that natural curve in our back and go into this slumped position. We do it when we're on our phones, we do it when we're in the car, we do it watching TV, and our spine adapts really well to whatever position we want to put it in. But if we constantly put it in one posture for long periods of time, then we can end up straining the lower back in ways that will create low back pain. We're going to go through are called extension exercises. They're opposite to bending forward or standing bending forward. If you're in the garden and you are constantly on your knees or pruning things, it's going to be very important to go in the opposite direction. So if you've been bending over for any period of time in the garden, doing laundry, folding clothes, making the bed, general household chores, then what you need to do is to be able to put your feet apart, hands on your hips, and bend backwards as far as you can. You want to do that between 6 and 10 times to negate the number of times you bend forward for the day. So it's bending backwards. You're going to shift your hips forward and arch back as far as you can, getting your chest all the way up to the ceiling. Try not to fall over. If you haven't got time to get up and do that, you can also do it in a sitting position. So if you have been sitting in that slouched position, you can work on pressing your hips forward, pushing your belly out, and increasing that lumbar lordosis. Okay. So it's pressing in with your pelvis, sticking your belly out, and do that a few times. Again, just as a way of making sure that you're not hanging on the end of your ligaments of your back in this position. Right, so let's do the lying down one. This one is really nice if you have been driving for long distances, sitting at the computer for extended periods of time. This is really nice, especially if you're home, you've been Zooming all day long. If you're at home and you have the ability to either lie on the floor or lie on your bed, you want to lie on your tummy for a little while, maybe about 5-10 minutes. It may initially feel a little uncomfortable in your back, basically because you're going in the opposite direction to having slouched for most of the day. So, okay. And prop up onto your elbows. And then the next move would be doing an extension to the lower back. It's very similar to Cobra in yoga. But the most important thing is to make sure that you relax your back and your buttock muscles as you do this, so that your lower back will have a chance to fully extend. Okay? And do about 6 again, do 6 to 10 of those repetitions, pressing up as high as you can making sure that you stop when your hips come off the floor. You don't want to come up into this position. You want to just press down so that just as your hips come off the floor, you know that your back is in its fully extended position. You don't need to hold it for very long, maybe 1, 2, 3 seconds at the most. If you want to sustain your extension, then it probably is more comfortable to do it in this position. Then you can stay there for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Other really nice exercises that you can do are exercises for your ankles, your hips, and just a general stretch. So if you have been sitting for extended periods of time, hand on the wall.
Okay.
Okay. And you're going to push. It's just a nice calf stretch if you've been sitting for long periods. And this you can hold for the count of 6. And do 6 of those. Another nice exercise is reaching behind you and lifting your arms up as high as you can go. It opens the front of your chest and really stretches those pectoral muscles as far as your arms can go. Okay, and you get a nice stretch at the front of your shoulders. Another good one is literally raising your arms up overhead. Some people like to hold on to a door frame if they can and stretch. If you're a tall person, sometimes that's really nice because most furniture is so much shorter than you are that you end up looking at people and viewing the world in this position. So that's a really nice one. If you want to make it a bit more interesting, you know, just standing on one leg, just to make sure that your balance is good. Standing on one leg really works your gluteal muscles. They improve the proprioception, which is your body's or your brain's way of remembering where everything is in space. So the better your balance is, the more coordinated you are in terms of how your brain is connecting to the rest of your body. You can do all those exercises we spoke about just on the one leg. Okay. You know, just standing on one leg. It's a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit more interesting. It's something that I think, you know, instead of a boring wall exercise, you'll actually start to see, you know, oh my God, you know, I didn't know my balance was that bad. Oh my God. I thought it was much better at X, Y, and Z. But just by doing those things, you know, you really begin to know your body a little bit more and how it's really behaving, as opposed to how you think it may be behaving. But again, if you're sitting at your desk and you don't have time to do all these things, then a nice one is just doing some what we call air squats. Okay? So just standing, just doing some squats. You get the big muscles of your butt and your thigh working. Okay, up and down.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Good. You can also, one of the other ones that works very nicely as well is just going up and down on your toes. Okay. And that way you get some circulation in the calves. Especially if you've been sitting for a while and you get some, you can get what we call dependent swelling. So if your feet are on the floor for extended periods of time, you may find that if you wear socks, that there's a big ring where the sock ends, where your fluid has sort of gathered below the knee. Okay. And that's usually because you haven't been using the muscles of your calf or your thighs. So just going up and down on your toes helps to return that blood flow. The next thing I'd like to go through is some ergonomic advice. That's basically how we set ourselves up at our computer station. With your workstation, you want to make sure that you have a chair that is supportive. Right, so make sure that you have a chair where your hips and knees, you want to make sure that your hips and knees are level,
Okay.
lower than your hips.
Okay.
Okay? If you're sitting in a chair and your legs are, and your knees are higher, then automatically your back is going to go into a rounded position. Just biomechanically, it's going to create that flexed environment. If that's the case, you want to get a cushion or a wedge and just put it right at the back of your chair here, right there. Okay? So when you sit, now your hips are higher than your knees. That will put your back into a very good relation that will allow you to use a nice little lumbar roll to relax into. That will preserve the natural curve of your back. It will make you much more comfortable at your workstation. So you've got your 3 zones, most frequently used, not so frequently used, rarely used. In terms of your computer screen, the top of your computer screen should be about level with your eyes, or maybe even just about an inch below, so that when you're looking at the screen, you'll be looking at the screen in a way that you're not doing that. Okay. You may need to increase the font on the computer so that you don't have to peer at it, get glasses. But you want to make sure that the screen is also not too close to you, so that, you know, too close, too low, so that you're not sort of in this sort of hunched position. So the way you manage your ergonomics throughout the day can really dictate your risk for back and neck pain. If you maintain a good posture throughout the day when you're sitting, then you'll be less likely to end up with some of these problems. If you get up frequently throughout the day and just do those stretches, again, your body will love you for it. I will say that even though this is a really, really good way of sitting, just sustaining any position for long periods of time, the body really doesn't like it. You know, we like movement. That's what our bodies are designed to do. So even if you have been very good and you've been sitting in a really good posture, make sure every half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, if you're really stuck into some work, you know, you get up, do your back bends, do your arm stretches, reach up above your head, do some work for your calf, do your squats, get those big muscles working so you can get some good blood flow around the body, and reduce the risk of ending up with back and neck pain.